Welcome to French Conversations for Beginners. Learn everyday French from Janina, the language teacher, and Joël from France.
Bonjour, welcome to French Conversations for Beginners. Continuing in this series of other resources to learn French online and also in some cases for free or at a great discount or with bargains, I wanted to share with you how to expand your vocabulary. And then I'm going to give you a resource to get some really relevant vocabulary. So in learning vocabulary in a language, obviously, the more words you know, the easier it is to talk. But I think sometimes the approach that's taken is that we learn language in categories, which is logical and it makes a lot of sense. And what I mean by language by categories, or by themes rather, might be a better way to say that, is learning the name of all the fruits or all the meats or different kinds of houses. All of that's really useful and helpful. Obviously, every single word and phrase you know helps you build language and build sentences. And when you can build sentences and create with language, that is how you get going with fluency and communication. Okay, so I'm completely pointing out the obvious there. However, as I said earlier, I think sometimes studying by themes and categories, as logical as it isn't always realistic. It isn't always realistic to get you communicating right away. So some examples that may resonate with you. I've seen, language programs present first words as maybe cat and ball and beer. I think I saw a lesson that had all of those in the same first word. So again, that's great. Any vocabulary you have is going to expand your knowledge and your skills. Having said that, when you're just getting started, I think the best thing to do is to get in with language for travel. So I think phrase books are really great. And the reason I like language for travel for beginning language students is that it's all survival. It's all communicative. It's all helping you get your needs met and talk to people. It's courtesy. It's survival. It's emergency. And I really like that. And when you learn vocabulary like that, when you kind of shift your focus to beginning to study a language, you really should be communicating as early as possible. So the language for travel, and I like to call it travel and beginners, you'll see vocabulary chunked into useful and relevant categories. So for example, instead of learning the words I would like to go, I'd like, that could be one chunk. Or, as a useful phrase that you're going to use, once you learn that phrase, je voudrais, you can use that in a variety of situations. So language for travel and beginners is a great way to get started. So one of the things, I have another podcast, Language for Travel and Beginners, as well as a book, and they're completely for free. And we're going to give you links to all of that, and I'm going to explain how to use them. One of the things that I think can be a challenge to learning vocabulary in a course like we just did is to extract all those little words and phrases. That's why the lessons have been really short. They've been sort of, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, because for beginners, it's easy to get submersed and to get a little oversaturated. So in this podcast, they're really just audio clips, and there's no introduction, there's no explanation. It's all relevant words and phrases. In fact, there's nearly 200 of them, just survival, travel, French, and they're all in individual MP3s. So I'm going to give you the link to that. I'm also going to give you a link to a free book that you can opt into and download, and it's got all the audio linked to that book. And you're also going to see another resource about making your own playlist to learn language. So when you're at the word and phrase level, when you're just getting started, to be able to make your own playlists of different situations. So for example, at a restaurant or at the store or at the hotel, you can kind of group all those MP3s that you would need and just play them over and over again. And you can also do that with the link on iTunes because they're all in a list. listen over and over again, and it will stick in your brain and you won't forget it. And then that language will become yours. So I'm offering that to you in 3 different forms. First one's the iTunes link. And then the second one is the book that has all the audio linked. And then the third one, you can make your own playlist with all of that linked audio. So the themes that are included in the almost 200 MP3s, I believe it's 190 MP3s of Language for Travel and Beginners, are greetings, ordering food at the airport, being able to talk about money, how to get around, language for the hotel, courtesy, phrases for courtesy, as well as emergencies. So I want to share that resource with you. That's a completely free resource. And it's going to take these conversations, a lot of the language that you've heard in some of these conversations, and it's going to put it down to a whole different tiny level. And you can repeat it, listen as much as you can to those little individual words and phrases from native French speakers, and let that language become yours. So until next time, à la prochaine.
For more resources on learning and teaching languages, to get on our mailing list, or to get the workbook for this course, be sure to visit reallifelanguage.com/reallifelanguageblog. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe and leave a rating.